What's up, football fans? It's time for week number 15 of the NFL picks and predictions. But before, as always, let's jump back to week 14 and see how we did. Not too shabby. I'm actually mad about just a swapped pick that I was sort of humming and hawing about. But 9-4 in a 13 game week. Not too terrible. I wish it was 10-3 more so than anything, but let's just go over it. Let's talk about it, because obviously a lot of people did fantastic this week. I was not one of them. So Detroit beat up on Green Bay, though. Such a close game. What a great game, too. That was an awesome game. That's all I'm going to say. That was an awesome game. I thought that game was fantastic, and I enjoyed, I think it was one of the best games of the whole week and such like that. Then jumping over, of course, to the Sunday games, we had Jacksonville actually manages to beat Tennessee. I didn't see any of that game because I knew it wasn't going to be a great game. 10-6 probably wasn't such a great game. Then Miami does beat, but that's our first loss, of course. But anybody could have went either way with that one. So I'm not actually upset at that loss. Miami beats up on the Jets, so we start cleaning up. Minnesota beats Atlanta. New Orleans beats the Giants, though just barely because they both suck. Then Philadelphia beats Carolina, quite obviously. This is what ticks me off. Okay? There were two upsets that I was thinking about. Cleveland, where they've already done this before, over Pittsburgh. Or the Rams over Buffalo. And I hummed and hawed, and I said, you know what? Buffalo's too good. I love my Rams, but at the end of the day, so I said, no, I'm going to do Cleveland as my upset, and the Rams as I'm going to pick again, with Buffalo, with the favorite. And it was reversed, right? So that's my only gripe. I would have had 11-2, still wouldn't have won the week, but 11-2, and I just would have preferred that. I just don't like it when I second guess my own picks, and I hum and I haw, okay, I don't want to pick both, so I'm only going to pick one. And the problem is that when I do that, things like this happen. So that one kind of bothered me quite a bit because Cleveland didn't have nearly as good a showing. And then Tampa Bay, thankfully, beats up on the Raiders. And Seattle does beat Arizona. A lot of people picking the Cardinals for some reason. Seattle's obviously the better team, so I don't understand that. Then, of course, the Rams, 44-42. What a crazy high-scoring game. What a powerful offensive game. You know, but it was a great game down to the wire sort of idea in that regard. Not so much on defense, obviously, with such a high score, but a great offensive plays, and the Rams managed to squeak it out. So though I was happy about that, kicking myself for not picking them, right? And then San Francisco over Chicago was pretty obvious. KC, once again, barely winning. The Chargers had them. If I was a Chargers fan, just like before, there are 3 or 4 games this year that have been this close that the other Kansas City does nothing. The other team screws up. It's been mistakes on the other team, whether offensively or defensively, that have led to most of Kansas City's wins this season, or a good chunk of them anyways. I don't think Kansas City's a bad team. They are not the tyrants that are this juggernaut that everyone seems to think they are. They really are not. And the Chargers nearly had them. And once again, they just screwed up. So, and finally, Dallas loses to Cincinnati. You know, there was a couple of times in that first quarter I said, if this is going to be the whole game, this is going to be an issue. And it was. It was. There was, you know, I know that my Cowboys aren't going to be doing very well. You know, they're just not there. You know, if you don't have your all-star, I know they always say, no, it's an entire team. It's an entire team. Listen, if Tom Brady doesn't play for the Patriots don't go to the Super Bowl either. So I'm just saying that if you only having, I don't think Cooper Rush is a bad quarterback, but he's not a Dak Prescott, and he's certainly not an elite quarterback. You take an elite quarterback away, you take Patrick Mahomes away from Kansas City, you take Josh Allen away, you take Lamar Jackson, you take any of these guys considered elite quarterbacks away from their team, it doesn't matter that they have weapons and a decent defense, they're not going to do near as well. It's just the reality of the sport. The quarterback is the captain. The quarterback is what brings that whole team together, and if he's not on it, then the whole team can't pull him out of it, you know. So unfortunately, it was closer than I think some people thought it would be, and a lot of people thought Cincinnati was going to score like 45 points. I didn't think that was going to happen, and lo and behold, it did not. 27-20 though, we still ended up losing, and it just kind of sucks. So, I stayed up to watch that game and was very tired the next morning. But yeah, so let's jump over to our Week 15 picks, where we're playing a full 16 games, and I do have a couple of considered upsets, of course. So, Rams over San Francisco right out of the gate for Thursday Night Football. For tonight's game. A lot of people are probably going to pick the Rams due to the fact that they just beat Buffalo, and San Francisco's more heavily injured than a lot of teams, and that's why San Francisco's performance hasn't been up there with the best of the best. I'm picking the Rams because I already made that mistake once, and if they could, once again, they beat San Francisco already, I believe, this year. That was one of their first wins, was against San Francisco after they went they were 0-3, I think, and then they beat San Francisco, and I was like, whoa, what happened? So they've already done it once. They just came off of a big win against Buffalo. I'm thinking that they can pull it off, and, once again, trying to win a week, you got to pick some upsets. So Rams for Thursday night, then we're going with Kansas City over Cleveland, Cincinnati over Tennessee, Washington over New Orleans, and Baltimore over Giants. These are all fairly obvious picks, unless someone's going for a Hail Mary upset. Most people are going to pick these 4 favorites. I mean, that's just obvious. Then I've got Dallas over Carolina. The sole reason, once again, is because though Dallas might not be going anywhere for this season, Carolina is just bad. I'm sorry. There are some teams, like I picked Cincinnati against Cincinnati on Monday knowing that was an upset. But Dallas is, just because we lost Dak does not make us the worst team in the league. I'm sorry. Just because we have terrible coaching does not make us the worst team in the league. We are still better than, Carolina, the Jets, some of these other teams, Cleveland. So yeah, absolutely going that route with it. Speaking of the Jets, we're picking Jacksonville over them. We're picking Jacksonville over the Jets. The Jets are kind of terrible too, though I do acknowledge that's a bit of an upset. I'm just giving it to them at home. I'm giving them their field goal amount of points. I'm giving them their 3 points at home, and we'll see what they manage to pull off. Then we follow up with quite a few favorites here, or favorited teams. We're going with Houston in Houston, Denver in Denver, and Detroit in Detroit over Miami, Indianapolis, and Buffalo, respectively. Though I know a lot of people probably still going to pick Buffalo, I still say that Detroit is currently the best team in the league, and I don't think they're about to lose to a major team like Buffalo at home. I think they want to prove that yeah, we're not losing. So, I think Detroit they're hungry for it. They're hungry, and good for them. Go for it. Then Philadelphia over Pittsburgh. This one, I kind of coining flip. I'm doing a bit of a coin flip right now, you know what I mean? I'm sort of humming and hawing. Eagles are good. They never recovered from that weird season, you know what I mean? They never recovered from last year where they were like 7-0 and then they tanked, you know what I mean, or whatever it was. So yeah, for me, I don't know. I don't know how that game is going to go down. It depends on who shows up. Right? So then we follow up with Arizona over New England, Tampa Bay over the Chargers, which is another technically upset pick, but I think the Buccaneers can take the Chargers. Then Green Bay over Seattle, though I do think Seattle's going to have that down to the wire. That's a one-possession game. I really do think Green Bay might be good, but Seattle, they're gonna push it. I'm thinking like 33-30 final score. I don't think Green Bay's gonna wash them. I really don't. And then Minnesota over Chicago for obvious reasons, because the Vikings are a very strong team. And Atlanta over Vegas, another obvious pick. So we have a few upsets in here. Definitely, a lot of people would say the Tampa Bay one. Rams one, not as much. Jacksonville for sure. And that's pretty much it when what I would consider my upsets. Dallas over Carolina, I really don't think is an upset. We could have lost against Cincinnati by 40 points, and I'd still pick Dallas going against Carolina. I pick anybody over Carolina, realistically. Though I have picked for Carolina and been right, so it is what it is. But those are our picks for week number 15. What are your guys' picks? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And enjoy some football for week number 15. Looking forward to it. Hopefully we can just win a week. We only have a few weeks left to go. I'd like to get my entry fee back. I really would. So, as I said, that's it. Go watch some football. Have a good one, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.